It's horrible, but we see this happen
Bro.
constantly. I mean, I've reported on so many of these.
Why is she shaking her head like that? I don't understand.
Campaigns, especially against women journalists. And it happens to, women across the board, especially women covering online culture, as you mentioned, and video games, because I think these are very hyper online engaged, radicalized communities. Why do you think media organizations are
radicalized communities? Radical. Why do they think that you guys are so angry all the time? I really just don't get that. I don't get the notion of like all of you are just radicalized and angry. And that's all it is. You're just angry. You watch all of these more successful content creators because you're just angry. That's just what it is. You're just angry. You just want to be angry all the time. It's like, you serious right now? Really?
Are so scared. Like, why do you think they have learned nothing from Gamergate 1.0? Like, was there any improvement here? Because it seemed like there was this whole reckoning around it, but now we have it happening again. And those same media companies that were publishing the, think pieces about how, wow, wasn't that awful? It seems like they're making the same mistakes again.
Yeah, I think ultimately it all comes down to worrying what's going to affect your bottom line. And that's also why I think the video game industry leaders and these companies and publishers stay quiet as well, because I think they worry that the moment that you take a stance against something like this, you alienate a part of your audience. And in a media landscape where websites are shuttering left and right and shutting down or selling, or people are getting laid off, I think there's a fear that you would alienate people by loudly standing behind your employees who are getting harassed. In some cases, I also think there are some people who are at the tops of these businesses that aren't necessarily all that worried about the way that these people behave. And maybe they don't necessarily disagree with some of the things these people say. The people who are in positions of power at these places are there for a reason. And I don't think they want anything that could upset that power balance. And I think seeing that somebody is getting sort of endless abuse for something that is a fairly left-leaning but innocent stance on something scares people who are at the top, because they wonder, well, what happens if I take a stand? And so I think they're just quiet. And I think, quite honestly, they're cowards. I think a lot of people are really just worried about their KPIs, or they're really just worried about their page views. They're worried about how much money they can make for the site. And they think if we make a statement saying stop harassing someone, that section of the internet will no longer entertain us and no longer read us. And I think it really just is, it's cowardice, pure and simple. In some cases, I think people are, like I said earlier, afraid of that eye turning towards them and attacking them. But that's why I've called for video game industry leaders and companies to issue a joint statement that's just signed by a bunch of people. It doesn't need to be this sort of granular back and forth with these bad actors online. It could just be something as simple as the video game industry is diverse. The people right.
Wait a second. So she wants everybody to make one singular statement and sign off on it like one big kumbaya? Do you know what you're asking for? You understand that you're asking for the entire gaming industry to make one singular statement against the customers that buy their products? Like, what do you think? You're starting to fuck your own empire? Like, this doesn't make any sense. The level of narcissism that it takes for you to even think that's even possible is insane. I mean, think about that. That's literally like, that's PR suicide. That is PR suicide. Wow. I don't even know, bro.
I'm shocked by this. There's no conspiracy theory here. Please stop harassing people. We don't stand with it. Signed every big leader in the industry, but it's not happening.
I feel like there's also, what these people fundamentally prey on is also the public's lack of media literacy. These independent content creators are able to kind of go out, they're able to weaponize the traditional media because they know the traditional media is certainly not going to cover these campaigns. The traditional media doesn't really cover harassment campaigns against marginalized people generally. And so they're able to kind of push these narratives unchecked. There's also this idea from a lot of the same people in positions of power of don't feed the trolls, right? That you love to hear that saying all the time. They say, don't feed the trolls. And it seems like that kind of ignores the way the internet is currently set up, right? Where there are these people that have these powerful megaphones that can push these really dangerous and defamatory narratives about someone.
Bro, what is that? What is that head bobbing that's happening right now? What is that? So now people are just stupid and don't understand. So that's what it is. So just people are just too dumb. The fans are too dumb. The fans don't understand. They don't understand shit. You're just retarded. Holy shit. I think she's coked out, bro. I think these two girls were doing lines, most likely. At least that's how it seems anyway. In between shots. They were like, all right, we got a great scene. Let's do some lines really quick. It's like, what the fuck?
And if you don't respond, I feel like you just create this vacuum for these narratives to thrive. So I guess, how do you feel about that don't feed the trolls advice? And how have you sought to fight this misinformation and smear campaign against yourself?
It's so funny that you say that, because that was
it's
actually something that was said to me multiple times by some people who I will not name when I was still working at Kotaku. And it frustrated me twofold. One, exactly what you're saying, the conversation of, well, this is defamation against me. It's also insinuating or saying outright that my journalistic practice is unethical, or that I'm lying throughout a published piece. And not saying anything about that kind of stuff is a little bit of a tacit approval. It's a little bit of a I don't want to say anything because I don't want them to pick that up and run with it. But when you don't say anything, they're running with it anyway. And I've learned that even when I don't say something that could piss them off, they will find something to get angry about, whether it's a tweet from 10 years ago or it's a retweet. There's something that will consistently drive this outrage machine. So I believe you have to be.
That's because your tweets are retarded. Your articles are lying through omission every single time. And you are a public figure regardless. You are a journalist. People are going to do that. They do that to all of us all the time. All the time. So I don't understand the issue. You are the only one in this entire industry that has ever gotten talked about and now suddenly wants to sue over it. You're the only one. Every other YouTuber, every other journalist, every other developer, everybody else gets talked about, and they just deal with it in their own way. But you want to be the martyr. You want to be the one who's like, I'm going to get the chuds. Okay, so I mean, that's just what you got to deal with then.
Smart with what you're pushing back on. And in some cases at first, I kind of felt like I was Captain America in that one scene, whatever movie it is, where he fights like 8 guys in an elevator. I kind of felt like I had to just go at everybody who was saying everything ridiculous about me, because the ridiculous level got to something that was, I mean, it was comical at a certain point if it wasn't tied to such scary, violent threats, but it got exhausting. And then I got to a point where I was like, okay, what are things that are just really easily disproven? Things that these big leaders are saying about how Call of Duty added bullets that had the trans flag on them, so you can kill people as a trans person. And I had to debunk that because I was like, that's an easy thing to knock down and say this is completely untrue. But what's frustrating is the outraged people, the people who are consistently feeding this outrage machine. You can prove that something is untrue unequivocally, and they'll just move on to the next thing. And so I don't really know what else can be done aside from kind of constantly going, that's wrong, that's wrong, because without these people being deplatformed from places like Twitter or YouTube for spreading disinformation or other things that obviously get into illegal territory, they're just going to keep doing this because they're still getting the views and they're still getting the likes. But
there it is. There it is. That is the ultimate goal. She's admitted it. The ultimate goal. She wants to deplatform people. That is a beautiful thing. She wants to deplatform people, because if not, then she waits till he gets into supposedly legal territory. It's like, okay, legal territory, sure. So all of this very clearly is nonsense, as we can see. It seems as if it is one massive coping session from somebody who tries to pretend to be super strong, but is ultimately not very strong at all, cannot handle anything that's happening in the professional space that they partake in. And at this point, is now feeling like she has to sue because that's the only way she could get people to, I guess, leave her alone. When the simple fact is, people won't bother her so long as she doesn't lie. That's the funny thing. Whenever anybody has talked about her, it's 99% of the time has to do with a lie she told. And then what she ends up doing is she deletes tweets, or she'll delete a TikTok video, whatever. Whenever she gets completely, fried for what she said.
The other thing that I thought about Don't Feed the Trolls is how inherently violent it feels to tell a woman being incessantly harassed online that their behavior has something to do with why that's happening. It really feels like when someone says that they were sexually assaulted and somebody asks them, well, what were you wearing? Or you shouldn't have had so much to drink. It just feels like your mere existence and the fact that you don't want to lay down and take it is why it's happening to you. And it's so upsetting and frustrating.
Wow, dude. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is like what Atreus says, man. Feminine warfare. This right here is feminine warfare, where she is, or they are, whatever. They are literally fighting with victimhood. They're fighting with victimhood. They're trying to make it seem like all of this is similar to real sexual assault. Bro, this is why it's women like this that are the reason why so many sexual assault cases get looked at with a second eye, raised eyebrow, whatever. It's women like this that took advantage of the movement that used to be Believe All Women. Remember that stupid shit? That movement got ruined by women like this that would cry wolf all the time. And eventually, too many women cried wolf to the point where that whole supposed Believe All Women shit, yeah, that went out the window. That went out the window. It's because of women like this. So you had an opportunity to make people believe all women, which is dumb, by the way. But you had an opportunity for that to be a thing, and you guys threw it out the window because dumb women like this fucked it up. That is incredible.
Frustrating.
And also, if you do lay down and take it, it's worse, right?
Yep.
Like, I think that's what people, especially these sort of people in
Stop
positions of
shaking your
power that
head.
make
Oh
that
my God,
comment,
what are you,
they
cracked
think that
out?
if you don't respond, it goes away. That's not true. They just don't have to see your response to it, right? It's out there. It's manipulating, people's perceptions of you. I also think it's a huge problem. I mean, you mentioned that you had to leave your job and stuff, that people that run these media companies and are in positions of power, they will throw any woman right under the bus if there's any hint of controversy, whether it's deserved or not. And I think that that is really scary because we see
in the world of Taylor Lorenz, only women are thrown under the bus during any hint of controversy whatsoever by companies and corporations. Even though Taylor Lorenz tends to forget that happens to everybody. It happens to literally everybody. And the only reason why Taylor Lorenz is trying to make this into a womanly thing is because it happened to Taylor Lorenz. Because she doxed Libs of TikTok. She doxed Libs of TikTok, so she got in trouble for that, got massive backlash over it, and then got let go because she was controversial. That's the exact reason why. Alyssa Mercante, same thing. She got let go because of the whole anti-Semitism thing from Destiny. Insane.
men court
It's like both of them, and it is funny, both of them employed the same exact strategies, which is to dox people. Isn't that amazing? One of them did it legally, right? And the other one did it not so legally.
controversy all the time. We see straight men able to ride these cycles out, and it's like, oh, well, he's really bombastic and he's a fighter, or they're never framed as like controversial. Men
No.
can use controversy, and it is seen as like them standing up for themselves, or them taking control of the narrative, or fighting back bravely against these bad actors. When women try to do anything like that, they're chastised. And like you said, these media companies will run scared. They will throw you under the bus so fast because they believe falsely that throwing you under the bus will quell the controversy. In fact, it's like throwing, red meat to the sharks, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I've said this before.
Bro, Taylor, you got yourself fired, Taylor. You got yourself fired. You doxed Libs of TikTok. Who said to do that? You did that. Why are you complaining about it now? You did that. What the fuck?
Like, cancel culture does exist, just not in the way that the right-wing people would have you think it exists. Because you can see someone like Johnny Depp and that entire case against Amber Heard. Oh no, it's going to ruin his career. Oh no, she's trying to cancel him. Well,
oh man, I got to tell you really quick, guys. These kind of women cannot stand that Johnny Depp won his case. They cannot stand it. Till this day, they don't let it go because it was a massive L for women that like to lie on a man's name. It was a massive L. Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard was such a big L for fake ass feminists like this everywhere in the world, and they can't let it go. They're so angry over it. So angry over it.
Who is still doing, Dior Sauvage commercials for cologne, and who is living a quiet life in another country with their kid? And I think, I saw that firsthand. I saw how quickly this bombardment of people sending emails to my job and sending emails to places that I'm freelancing at, this clear attempt to deplatform me, which is so ironic considering how often the right wing screams about cancel culture and how it's ruining everything. But the only time I've ever seen someone actually suffer from cancel culture or have any sort of ramifications for anything has been a woman or a person of color or a queer person, because they dared to push back against the ruling elite and the other people around them. And I just think it's ironic that we're sitting here worrying and bleeding about that when the only people who have suffered from it are the ones who are already in a bad enough position. It's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. Well, I think one way, at least
Man, these women really feel like they're the saviors of the world, huh? They really feel like they're the saviors of the world. They're just here to save everybody. This I can't with these two, man. This is crazy shit.
Help mitigate these harassment campaigns is to cover them and to educate people about them, so that when they see a campaign like this, they say, "Oh, that's what this is. Oh, this is coordinated networked harassment. I can recognize it for what it is," instead of just saying, "Why is Alyssa so controversial?" Or
you can't recognize for what it is because you're literally mislabeling it. That's not what it is at all. That's the hilarious thing, right? You're trying to pretend as if you know what that is, but you don't, because an actual coordinated harassment campaign doesn't look anything like what you're saying it looks like. If you want to know what it looks like, just take a look in the mirror. Take a look in the mirror, because this is not thousands of YouTubers getting together and talking about a similar trending topic is not coordinated harassment. It's not like they all get together and coordinate and try to make it happen on Discord. That doesn't work like that. But you guys getting together, what, 6 of you, 3 of you, 5 of you, whatever, you guys getting together on your little Discords and trying to make things happen against certain people. Yeah. That sounds a little more coordinated.
Whatever. But I've noticed that the mainstream media, traditional media generally, doesn't cover these things. Like, if for someone like you, right? Like, where do you even go to get your story out? It's not like there are journalists in these traditional outlets that even talk about these massive campaigns that are happening online. Generally, the traditional media tends to ignore the internet, I think, unless they're writing about how, like, Among Us, is a problem. That's the extent of the games journalism. How do you educate people about these campaigns? How can we educate the public on how to recognize coordinated, smear campaigns?
You're absolutely right. I spoke to the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Company, like immediately after my piece went live and the harassment started in March. It was an incredible interview. I was really proud of it. We talked about the harassment campaign. And then it was very clear that some people did not want me to continue to talk about this anymore. So I kind of went quiet in terms of going and looking for places to have this conversation. But I kept having it on social media. I kept having it on TikTok or in my Instagram stories, just showing people just kind of the massive amounts of harassment and abuse that I would get on the daily. I mean, today somebody sent me a picture of their penis in an Instagram message.
Wait, so hold on. So she admits to continuing the conversation, right? Which means that if you're allowed to continue the conversation, then surely other people should be allowed to continue the conversation, right? Why are you the only one who's allowed to continue talking about something in the industry, but nobody else is allowed to keep talking about somebody else, in the industry? It just doesn't. What is with the rules for the not for me thing? And by the way, whoever sent her a pic like that, you need to repent. You need to repent.
Saying, since you're such a whore, you're going to have this in your mouth soon. And I think...
Holy shit. Who did that? Who did that? Holy shit. That's insane. Oh my God, bro. The internet's ruthless, man. The internet is ruthless. That's crazy. Oh man. It was 8-bit Eric, wasn't it? Let's be real. Let's be real. It was 8-bit Eric, bro. Come on. That's so insane. Oh my God.
People don't realize that when it happens like this and when it happens to you, it is kind of a nonstop barrage that anytime you pick up your phone, it's a very likely chance that you have something in one of your inboxes that would make my grandmother faint at the dinner table. I would love for traditional media to cover this.
Are you serious right now? Oh, come on, bro. Oh no, you did not bring grandma into this conversation. First off, if grandma wants to faint at the dinner table, all she has to do is look at your tweets. That's all she's got to do. If grandma's going to faint, all she's got to do is look at your tweets, and I guarantee you grandma would faint. I promise you. Fuck what everybody else is saying. She'll be shocked at what you would be saying on your Twitter. She'll be shocked about how you said that you suck dick to get into the gaming industry. She will be shocked to see that tweet. And I know you deleted it, but it happened. So why are you bringing grandma into this shit, bro? She would be shocked if she saw all the ass pictures that you were taking in Brooklyn, all the titty pictures that you were spreading around online. What about the picture of you? I think somebody fucking showed something where she was like dressed like a robber or something, but basically almost naked with a fake gun or something like that. So you mean to tell me grandma would not be shocked at that? Grandma would not. Come on, man. Don't bring grandma to this shit. Do not bring grandma into this, bro. Grandma didn't do anything to be brought back into this.
More.
I've seen actually a bunch of the content that you've posted. I think you posted a great TikTok recently, sort of documenting your emotions and going through this.
Oh, fake ass podcast wants to talk about fake ass video reaction. I can't wait to talk. Let's see this. Let's see this.
And I feel like you've done a lot to raise awareness about this on your own channels. You're also pursuing legal action, which I think is something that most people don't do. Can you tell me about your lawsuit and how, your decision to pursue justice through that system?
Yeah, I mean, the first time Gamergate happened in 2014, the internet was such a foreign concept to most lawmakers, judges, attorneys, that most of the women who kind of raised these issues, even with their police departments, when they would call and say, hey, somebody's threatening to come to my house, the overall response would just be kind of one of confusion. What do you mean there's someone online is threatening you? They're not there in person, right? So you're fine, right? It's not an issue, right? On a legal end, it was very difficult to kind of nail down exactly what these people were doing that was illegal, because there just weren't very many instances of lawsuits happening or proceedings going through that made it very clear that this kind of behavior was unacceptable. That has changed somewhat in the last 10 years. It's gotten a little bit easier to pinpoint illegality on the internet in the obvious ways of death threats and things like that.
I kind of agree with you in some of these points, just dealing with my own harassment. Like, sure, police understand the concept of the internet a little bit better. You might get a judge that understands how Twitter works, but I don't think that.
Gal Pal Val says, so is this whole stream them justifying all their bad behavior? Yes. Yes, basically. To sum it all up, it is two journalists that got ousted from the industries that they worked in because they were terrible people. They are having a one-on-one coping stream right now. That's essentially what it is.
There's any sort of real comprehensive legal precedent for holding these types of campaigns accountable. So how are you approaching it with this?
We're going to end it here at the legal. I want to hear what she says about the legal campaign. Then we're going to end it here and catch up on Super Chats. Let's see.
So I'm suing one of the people who have been making content about me.
One of the people, seemingly implying she's going to sue more than one.
Since March. His name's Jeff Tarzia. He's a content creator who primarily makes videos on YouTube. I'm suing him for defamation, stochastic terrorism, organized harassment, a couple of things that we kind of went through at length, the benefits to any of these points.
Alyssa Mercante has filed a lawsuit with me. It's a very frivolous.
What world do we live in where Smash JT shows up on a Taylor Lorenz video? Oh, man, that is crazy. That is crazy. And he's got a side scroller shirt on too on top of that. Oh man. So in essence, side scrollers showed up on a Taylor Lorenz video. That is just wild. That is wild. Oof.
54-page attempt at doxing me and attacking me and silencing me that isn't going to work, and it never does.
This is somebody who has been making videos about me for months, many of which include thumbnails of me and interesting photos taken from, I don't know where he found them online, and a lot of them contain.
What do you mean you don't know where he found them online? You could just Google Alyssa Mercante and 99% of the photos come from your Twitter profile. What are you talking about? You don't know where he got them from online. What kind of fucking bullshit is that? It comes from your ex. You posted them. You posted them. It's not like people just randomly posted your. You posted them. What kind of cope is this, bro?
Contain pointed language that is technically legal, but some of them contain outright defamation. And obviously, he is one of those.
At least she admitted that most of his language is legal. I don't know if admitting that on a podcast is the best idea, considering you're suing him for defamation, but okay.
Below the big guys in terms of the organizers of this harassment campaign, but he is someone that has quite a large following. And a lot of the people who have seen the videos he's made about me have echoed the things that he said about me in my DMs and elsewhere. And it's just been very clear that there has been a lot of slandering of my name and my character and my ability as a journalist.
So translation, you guys ready for the translation? Translation, right? I'm Alyssa Mercante. I want to sue somebody and try to get a payday. Let me look around. Okay. Aspen Gold, too big. He'll kick my ass. Can't do that. Kiwi Farms, too big. Can't do that. He'll kick my ass. Hypnotic, he's anonymous. It'll take too much work to try to go after him, so can't do that. 8-Bit Eric, nope, can't do that. Oh, Smash JT? Yeah, we could do Smash JT. We could do Smash JT. He's not anonymous, right? He's not anonymous. He's white, so it'll be great it'll be great for the narrative. And he looks like a pushover. Fuck it. Let's go for him. Let's go for him. And I doubt he has the money to fight a legal battle, so he'll just give up and he'll settle. And I'm trying to get 75,000 out of him, but he'll end up settling and give me 35, and it'll be at the end of the day. That's it. It's done. Or at least that's what she thought. That's what she thought. She thought it'll be an easy 1, 2, 3 payday, and going after Smash JT and making him settle because Smash JT is a family man and doesn't want no trouble. But little did she know that she, messed with she messed with trouble. That's basically it. She messed with trouble. And on top of that, too, she's really trying to get this so that she could become a martyr for a movement that they're really trying to do in the gaming industry or in general, which is, I'm Alyssa Mercante. I want to be the martyr for this new movement and help pass new legislation that would allow us to take down bigger enemies with more success chance than we have right now. If we go after somebody like Asmongold, or if we go after somebody like Kiwi Farms or a company like Kiwi Farms, that's going to be way too difficult right now with the current legislation that we have to work with. But if we could win against somebody small and we could draft new legislation that will help us in the future, then we could really go after all these chuds. It's really what it is. That's how it seems.
And so for me and my legal team, it was the best case scenario.
Your pro bono legal team, allegedly.
Of who we should try to have some modicum of a consequence for. There is clear-cut examples of.
Oh, she felt real special using that word modicum. She felt real special. She's like, I'm about to use a big word right here. And it rhymes with something I'm used to taking. But that's okay. It's insane. So she basically admits it here. She admits it here that they specifically targeted Smash JT because they felt like that was their best and pretty much only chance to try to win a lawsuit against anybody in this space. That's basically it. They thought that he was the easy target, which is exactly what we've been saying since day one. Since day one, it's exactly what I've been saying forever, that they went after Smash JT because they thought that he was the easiest target. It's amazing, man. God, that's just incredible.
Of what we believe are defamation, and there is a laundry list of content that this person has been making about me for months and making money off for months. So I'm hoping, I don't know how confident I feel because the legal system I still feel is very far behind, but I'm hoping that this could be something that people could look towards.
Are you preparing for an eventual loss? Is that what it is? Are you preparing? Like, you don't even have that much faith? You don't have that much faith in the legal system? Let me go back really quick. Hold on. That was good. That was good. Let me go back. Let me go back a little bit.
Of me and interesting photos taken from, I don't know where he found them online. And
That's
a lot
too far
of them,
back.
that is defamation. And obviously he is one of those below the big guys in
God damn,
terms
that's too
of,
far back,
he is one that has a lot of the people who have seen the videos he's made about me have echoed the
Why
things
is
that
it
he
so
said
far
about
back?
and my ability as a journalist. And so for me and my legal team, it was the best case scenario of who we should try to have some modicum of a consequence for. There is clear-cut examples of what we believe are defamation, and there is a laundry list of content that this person has been making about me for months and making money off for months. So I'm hoping.
God, it's always about the money. It is always, 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 always about the money. Always about the money. The simple fact is she's angry. She's angry that Smash JT probably is making more money talking about her and everybody else for that matter than she is running defense for companies like Sweet Baby Inc. So it's about money. But let's hear her cook. She might tell us what else it's about. Let's see.
I'm hoping, I don't know how confident I feel because the legal system I still feel is very far behind, but I'm hoping that this could be something that people could look towards as a rare example of somebody latching on to the back of a harassment campaign and benefiting financially off of it while, seriously affecting the life of one person in their sites,
Oh my God.
I think my life has changed dramatically because of all of this. And I don't think that's fair. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think the profit.
Oh my God, bro. The lack of accountability is insane. But this is how the world is, bro. Especially with a lot of women. This is how the world is. The lack of accountability is fucking insane. Everything that happened to Alyssa Mercante happened because of her. Literally everything. So what are we seriously talking about here? You're going to try to convince everybody that your life changed for the worse when you're out there on YouTube asking people to come fight you physically? Which, by the way, telling someone to fight you physically implies that you want them to see you in real life. Because you can't fight someone physically over the internet. It's kind of impossible, right? So you're asking someone to fight you physically, which means come see you in real life. So then you're going to try to sit there and pretend as if your life has been changed upside down, harassed after your invitation was put out there by you?
Is such a key part of it. In the meantime, I guess what can people do to support those who are targets of this type of stuff? I mean, to support your work and stuff now that you are independent.
What can people do to help you grift? It's basically what this fucking psycho is saying.
Like, how, I don't know if you can pay your legal fees, like how it's been going. How can
you don't have to pay it because it's pro bono, most likely.
People get involved who want to put a stop to these types of cycles?
There's a couple of things. Obviously, I started a Patreon and I regularly stream on Twitch now. It's twitch.tv/Alyssa Merc. I'm trying to do kind of a hybrid gaming and covering like tech and video game news. Just kind of testing it out to see if that medium is a good place to have these kinds of conversations. And I have my Patreon, which I'm doing some original writing on, some behind a paywall, some not. I'm applying for jobs, obviously trying, but in terms of support, I mean, just getting the word out there. And also, honestly, it seems so silly, but reaching out to me and just like giving me a virtual pat on the back or an I've got your back is huge. And also for the larger people, the people who are.
I got your back, Alyssa. I got your back. I got your back. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna give you a virtual pat on the back right now. There you go. There you go. See that? That should make you feel better. You know what I'm saying? We got you. The Bigot Army got you. Anything we have to do to take down Smash JT, we're gonna do. Don't worry about it. We got you.
Are not, just us lowly journalists that are, struggling to make rent in New York City or elsewhere. But the people who are leaders.
Oh, she keeps talking about struggling to make rent. I guarantee you she's not struggling to make rent because somebody else is paying for her rent. I would bet money on that. I have no proof of that, obviously, so that's just my own opinion. But I would bet money on that being true.
At these companies and leaders in these spaces, I think a little bit more vocal support for not just me, but the other people who are facing harassment, I think would be huge. Again, that vacuum of not saying anything leaves a lot of space for people to continue to pile on. And also, I would say, if you come across something that is so blatantly violating terms of service, at least give it a report. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But
by the way, if you want to complain about rent being high, you probably shouldn't live in the 5 boroughs, which has some of the highest rent in the entire fucking country. Right? Last I checked, they said she lived in Brooklyn. And the part of Brooklyn that I heard she lived at is not exactly very cheap. So I'm sure she is able to move to somewhere more affordable. But let's be real, she probably doesn't want to do that. She probably loves being in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? But you could easily move somewhere else and be okay. You are a remote worker. You don't have to be somewhere physically to do your job. So you could just go move somewhere else that's cheaper and be okay. Truthfully. Because all her work is online. So she's not tied to any physical location. Right? She doesn't work for Kotaku anymore. So go somewhere that's cheaper. That's what a smart adult would do.
It's better than just me feeling like I'm constantly monitoring my own harassment, which gets exhausting.
Well, it's traumatizing, right? I mean, you're forced to, because I hate this idea as well, where it's like, well, just don't read it or whatever. For your own safety, you do need to read what people are saying. Again,
Absolutely.
To report threats, to escalate things. And there is no service that can just go in, and I've always wanted something like this, just monitor all of your mentions, right? Like celebrities have, I guess, and deal with things and escalate things. So you manually have to read the most vicious stuff about you. I mean, I think it would lead any normal person to have severe PTSD and trauma.
Sometimes you think that you're okay, and then you just kind of have a moment where.
So I don't know of anybody else that deals with trauma in the way of trying to tell people to fight them physically. I don't know of anybody that deals with trauma that way. I don't know of anybody that deals with trauma with arguing and fighting people on Twitter, DMing people, threatening them. I don't know of anybody that does that, but I guess whatever.
Either you're just so tired that you break down, or for me, I would just read these things all day and almost like a car crash obsession at a certain point where I was like, wow, this can't get any worse, right? It can't get any worse, right? And then it would get worse and worse. And I think I started noticing that even the most innocuous comment after me reading something terrible all day would be the thing that broke me. And I think it was just the volume after a while. And the fact that it doesn't stop is pretty wild. I mean, my old company did offer Delete Me, which is a service that's supposed to keep all of your personal information offline. But these people who are the worst actors in this space, and I mean, these are the ones who are gathering in these really...
Well, let's be real. You would never allow yourself to be deleted offline. You're too much of a fucking narcissist. You would never allow yourself. Let's be real. You will never stay off Twitter because you threaten to quit Twitter, and you keep coming back. You come back within 3 hours. So
strange,
you're not
dark
going anywhere.
Corners of the internet. These people, this is their entire life, finding information about people. And so having that service only kept them away from finding my information out for a little bit. And then they found it anyway. They found it through some sort of loophole or some mistake that somebody had made. And, the next thing I knew, someone was posting pictures of the inside of my apartment. And so it is scary. It is overwhelming. And it's also very difficult to explain it to someone who's not always online, because there is that kind of, we'll just turn off the computer. It's not that simple.
There's also the idea of where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think we see this, especially when we look at women and marginalized people. It's this idea of, I like Alyssa and her reporting seems good, but she's so controversial. They just say this about everyone. Obviously, I get it too. We all see this happen. And it's it's how they drive people, marginalized people, women, like out of the industry by stigmatizing
Oh
them.
my God.
And if you respond, you're asking for it. And if you don't respond, you're just going to be steamrolled and absolutely put up no fight while your entire career is destroyed. And the narrative about all of this hard work that you've done for years is twisted. And you just become sort of
Why is there edits? Why is there edits like in between what should have been a fairly smooth conversation? I'm seeing these jump cut edits in the middle of this conversation. Like, what did you do in between that time? Did you have a long pause? Did you have a long pause, or were you really just like, I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, why did it just cut there?
known for your controversy, which is what they want, right? Because you are doing good journalism and they don't want you to know, they don't want you to be known for your journalism. They want you to be known as controversial because it makes it easier for you to be dismissed.
Absolutely. And it has been incredibly difficult, especially since we filed the lawsuit last week. We just filed it, which it was in the works forever. It's been incredibly difficult for me to sort of to take measured approaches to this kind of stuff, because it is very frustrating to see, especially within the last few days since the filing, even more defamation, lies, and slander spread that I just kind of have to sit on. And that is something that I understand it. And I know that it's short-term pain for potentially long-term gain, or at least some type of consequence for somebody who has been doing this. But I think I prepared myself for it, but I don't think I prepared myself enough, because now it's gotten to another level that I'm like, can this go any higher? Like what the limit does not exist. Like, why is
I can't anymore. I'm done. I got to catch up on super chats. I'm done.